This program proudly brought to you by Thai Airways International.
Welcome to the third season of Hello Darlink. In previous episodes, we have had the pleasure and great privilege of talking to some remarkable people, and we have heard wonderful stories of courage, strength and motivation. This season, we bring you stories from people whose passion and self-belief made the impossible possible, including businesswomen, reality TV stars, actors, sporting champions, and self-made entrepreneurs. So join me on Hello Darlink to hear journeys of people from all walks of life. Today, my special guest on Hello Darlink is Sean Thomsen. Sean became known for his appearance on Married at First Sight, Australia's highly rated and controversial reality dating show. Sean is a blonde, glamorous 35-year-old FIFO worker. However, behind the glamour and fame, there is another side to his life. Hello, darling.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Thank you. How was your day?
Yeah, it's great. Great day in Perth, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
Thank you. Sean, what made you go on Married at First Sight?
There was a couple of reasons why I went on the show. I just got out of a bad relationship, and I thought it was kind of like everything, the stars aligned, and everything was lining up for me to go on this show. Like, you know, everyone has kind of your vision or whatever, and I always had a vision that, you know, I was destined for more, and it just aligned where I got the opportunity out of nowhere to have an interview, and it just really worked out because I was in that headspace where I wanted to find a true love, as opposed to some of the relationships I've had in the past.
So did you really believe yourself that going and appearing on the show will find you love?
I thought it would open up opportunities to definitely find love, and and change your whole life situation as well. I believe that's one of the reasons why a lot of us went on the show. They weren't happy with one aspect of their life, obviously their relationships, but there were several aspects of their life which they wanted to change. So I thought it was a good opportunity to change some of my life situations. Yeah.
And how was your experience?
It was mixed. It was a mixed experience. A lot of us had troubles early on with relationships. Obviously, there was a lot of pressure applied. So I did struggle at first, and I didn't really have the connection with Blair that I wanted. And I'm pretty upfront with my thoughts and feelings around, getting involved in a relationship, and I didn't see the reason to string someone along unnecessarily. So, pulled the pin early on. Thanks.
Sean, how would you describe yourself today? Who is Sean?
Happy most of the time.
Yes.
Easygoing. I think going on the show's kind of changed me as a person. I'm a lot more comfortable in my own skin. A lot less, I would say years ago I was a lot more anxious, and I had a lot more anxiety and self-doubt, I think. And I think going on, putting yourself out there like I've done kind of changes you as a person for, and I think it's changed pretty much everyone who's gone through that experience. So I think a lot more comfortable with myself now.
Fantastic. Sean, you have volunteered to be a testimonial speaker at the Men in Black Ball 2018, which is in support of men's mental health and suicide prevention. What made you decide to do it?
Yeah, I suppose just sharing my story. Like, a lot of people got a glimpse of that when we were filming. I think it was in the first commitment ceremony. A lot of things got overwhelming because I was trying to explain to Blair at the time where my head was at, and a lot of people, you know, it's one of those things you don't really like to talk about, and especially when you're up in the, working up in the mines as all the man's man, you know, like, you know, just suck it up. So a lot of people suffer in silence, and it was one of those things that I wanted to express, and it was hard at the time to, because you know, it was an emotional roller coaster going on the show, and obviously, you know, it probably got the better of me. I couldn't express myself as much as I wanted to and get my story out, so that's why I decided to do the Men in Black Ball and really, you know, get the point across that it's okay to talk about it.
And when did you realize that you had depression? When did you realize first in your life?
Yeah, it's probably when I was working, obviously doing fly in, fly out. I've had a number of rosters, and I was in this particular roster where I felt like I wasn't living a life. I was just working non-stop, and I, you know, you have these thoughts, and it was like, you know, where's this going? What's the purpose of this? And I was at a meeting, and, you know, just a stock standard business meeting that you have, and I had like a panic attack, and I've never had it before, you know, where your hands shake and you can't speak, and you just get frozen. And I thought, you know, something's wrong here, like, because, you know, no normal person should have this, you know, during a meeting especially, and just kind of froze and had a bit of a freak out, and then kind of spiraled down from that point onwards with, you know, trying to mask it with drinking and stuff like that, and, you know, trying to avoid the real issues, you know. You know, why am I feeling this way? Why am I sad constantly? Why am I, you know, not communicating as much with family and friends that I used to? All the common symptoms that you have when you have depression, you just don't want to talk to anyone. You just want to, for guys, you just want to hide away, and it was a pretty low time, and I sought help off a couple of good friends of mine who were going through or been through a similar situation, and they could, you know, someone to talk to, and, you know, explain that it's not that bad. I'm just, you know, it's just that point in your life, and you'll move through it.
I'm searching with a new smile, I'm loving with a new heart. I'm searching for a new life, searching for a new sky, searching for a new life.
Open up your senses. Explore. Time, smooth as silk.
This program proudly brought to you by Thai Airways International.
So, who was the first person you shared your suffering with?
It was probably a good mate, Alex, that he travels a lot as well. And, you know, he's had his bouts with depression, and you know, yeah, it's the feeling of helplessness that I think drives it, and you don't think you can get out of it. And, you know, we've had some good chats about it. And, you know, he was one of the guys who, you know, you make a plan and have some goals in your life, and you can move forward.
And what was the darkest point of your depression, of your journey? What was the darkest day of your life?
It was probably like the feelings where you're weighing it up, and you're talking to, you know, self-talk, and you you like writing out, or you're making a list of the reasons why you're better off, you know, out, or, you know, you're just making a list of, you know, the best scenarios where, you know, it's better off just pulling the pin, so to speak, and it's just a dark thoughts, and, you know, I suppose everyone goes through that, and it's just, I suppose the catalyst for, you know, people who do try and attempt suicide, they come up with this list of, you know, all the people that are probably better off, you know, you're probably better off and you'd help their lives if you weren't around, or something like that. You know, some crazy thoughts go through your head. So, yeah.
Sean, when you're in such a low, did you think of your family at all?
Yeah, of course. You think of your family and how it affects them, and yeah, it's just I think you don't want to disappoint them.
So, how did you turn it around?
Yeah, obviously, the first point is just being open and honest with, you know, your friends. It was harder to communicate it to your family because of, you know, just the way it's always been. You know, you have a common thread that you speak to your family through, and a common filter that it's kind of chit chat some of the time, and sometimes it's, you know, you can communicate on a deeper level. You know, another benefit of, you know, opening yourself up is you're able to, you know, tell your friends and family exactly how you're feeling, and I think that's really important.
And did you seek professional help after opening yourself up and speaking about it? Did you go and seek professional help?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. That's another benefit, going to your local GP and having a doctor that you see on a regular basis, and they get to know you. Going through, and you explain your situation at first, and it's kind of like a point of therapy as well, because you can go back and they ask how you're doing, and, you know, I ended up getting some medication for it at the time, still on it, and it's helped. It's helped immensely, because it's at the time you feel overwhelmed, and it gets rid of those feelings. So, you know, obviously you don't want to be like on medication for the rest of your life, but yeah.
If it helps, why not?
Yeah.
Sean, what would be your message to people watching us today, especially people that are going through their own struggle and need a guideline? What would be your message to them?
Yeah, my message, especially to the guys who work away, fly in, fly out, because it can be very isolating, and you know, a lot of the problems happen with their relationships when they're at work. Is to have a good network of friends up when you're working away, and when you're based back at home, and someone that you can call up and talk to, and, you know, we'll always have you back. So you need at least that one friend, mentor, as you said, guru.
Yes.
You need that person, because they can help you, and you know, they're always there to listen, no judgment. I think that's key.
Sean, may I ask you, why do you think that FIFO workers are much more vulnerable and exposed to the mental health challenges in comparison with some other professions? Why do you think it is?
It's a lot of jobs, and, you know, we got our people in emergency services who go through similar things, working a roster where you're isolated and alone, and you're there, and I think it's the isolation, and it's getting used to that isolation. See, moving around, especially if you're moving around, you don't have a home base, can be very challenging, and if you've got relationship issues, you can add extra pressure as well. So I think it's the fact you can't be there at that time to fix the problem, and a lot of problems with your life, not only relationships, but if you can't actually be there, I think it drives a lot of guys nuts, because you can't, you know, if you have a fight, you can't just go talk to them face to face and work it out. You know, you let it sit for weeks possibly, and yeah, it can be very frustrating, and I think that brings on a lot of depression. Yeah.
Sean, do you think men are being misunderstood today? Their weaknesses, their strengths? You know, do you think that
Yeah.
the saying, men don't talk, boys don't cry, they rather die than cry,
Yeah.
is still as relevant?
I think this day and age it's becoming more and more acceptable to talk about it. I think, you know, a lot more people are expressing themselves openly, and it's a good thing if you can talk about it and not get ridiculed. Even in the last 5 years, I think I've noticed a significant change, especially up at work. It's a lot more accepting. A lot more people are open and honest about their feelings and if they're getting help or if they need help. So I think that's a good thing.
Great, beautiful. Do you think, Sean, that in today's times the expectations of happiness are a little bit high, unrealistic, maybe influenced by showbiz?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, obviously people are constantly looking at the phones these days, and social media plays such a big part. But I think the distinction that people need to make is not to associate themselves with other people that they're looking at and comparing themselves, and you know, you're setting unrealistic benchmarks for, and you'll never be happy. So detach yourself from social media and do it for you, and do it for, you know, the people that you care about. If you want to show your story or express yourself, do it for yourself and do it for, you know, your own reasons, not to try and be someone that you're not.
And Sean, what makes you happy? What's happiness to you?
Yeah, good relationship, loving relationship, just a good life situation. If I'm happy at work, if I'm happy at home, that's all I want, really. Yeah.
So in effect, small things that
The small
make us
things,
happy.
yeah,
Yes?
the small things can make a really good relationship, and you know that they care about you.
Would you ever consider going back on reality show?
I'm searching with a new smile. I'm loving with a new heart. I'm searching for a new light. Searching for a new sky. Searching for a new light.
Open up your senses. Explore. Time, smooth as silk.
This program proudly brought to you by Thai Airways International.
Would you ever consider going back on reality show?
Take a lot of convincing. I think under the right circumstances, maybe, but yeah, it had its ups and downs, and it was a very big production. So
Yeah.
it's I'm happy with how it ended, and I'm ready to move on.
We all are for you. Sean, what's your view on today's constant focus on gender equality?
Yeah, the company I work for are promoting it massively, and I think it's a good thing if they've got the skills and the know-how and they're right for the job. I don't see a problem with it, and I think it's a good thing as well. It brings diversity into the workforce and different ways of thinking, especially in the mining sector. There's a lot of old, you know, how we used to do it. So bringing that different point of view in is a great thing, and you know, a lot of businesses have taken that on as well. So if they've got the right necessary skills for the job, I think it's a good thing.
I asked you earlier on the darkest day of your life. I'm going now to turn it completely
Yeah.
out. The best day of your life so far.
It would have to be the reunion, wouldn't it?
Of course.
The best day of my life. That's a tough one. Because it's like a
Just
combination.
think, the happiest day. I mean, nobody is going to come back and check the rating, correct?
Yeah, true.
The day you can remember, it could have been when you got your big ice cream in the age of 6.
I think, you know, if you're in love with someone and you have a really good day, you know, we had a great day in Bali with Tracy and I. You know, just had like a good lunch and then a nice dinner. We went for a swim, and it's just like a lovely little day.
Yes.
You know, and it's a great spot in Bali. We were staying in this villa, so it was a really good day.
Beautiful. Sean Darlink, question. Why do you think young people are finding so difficult, people altogether, to find happiness, to find real love? What's happening to the world? Why do we have to go on $1 million TV productions, have cameras, script writers, guiding us what to say, what to do, where to go, how? What's going on? Why is it such a struggle?
I think unrealistic expectations on today's society, and you know, the women these days are probably, you know, putting some lofty expectations on what kind of person they want to meet and having a checklist. I suppose that would be one of the reasons. I'm not too sure about, you know, over the years it's changed a lot, our culture, and we've had, you know, a lot more social media and a lot more people have connected into that as opposed to, you know, finding a genuine connection probably a few years ago even, where you'd court the girl, you'd call her up and, you know, you'd have phone conversations for hours and stuff like that. So it's probably a different process. I think we're oversharing too much, possibly, and that's probably one of the reasons as well. There's many factors, but yeah, I think there's a big expectation on, you know, girls these days to fit a certain image, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why.
So it's our fault. It's women's fault again.
No, it's all guys'
I'm joking.
fault. It's girls, you know.
Sean, but I'm thinking about it. There's no such a thing as blind date anymore, correct? In my times when I was very young,
there's an app for it.
there's an app for it.
I'm
How
not
do
sure.
you do blind date?
I'm
You,
not
you
sure.
check some of the app straight away, correct? As you say,
yeah,
the
I'm
checklist
joking.
comes out.
Yeah, the checklist comes out. You see a picture. If you like it, you swipe. If you don't, you don't. That's what I hear the kids do these days. I'm not too sure.
Well, you say kids, and you're part of this generation. You obviously became big part of social media with your fame from the reality show. How did it feel to become famous? How did you cope? Do you like the fame?
I don't consider myself famous. I think a lot of people on reality TV probably have an expectation, or they think they're probably a bit more famous than what they are. I think it's just, you know, it's nice that people want to follow your story.
Yeah.
I think it's nice, but I consider myself just a normal guy, and just humbled by that. I think it's just nice. If they want to follow it, that's great. That's great for, you know, and I can spread my brand and whatever I'm doing at the time. I'm doing a podcast now, so if they want to follow my journey, that's great. But I don't
Yes.
consider myself cut from a different cloth than anyone else. Yeah.
Good. And your view on social media, obviously you're a big part of it. Do you mainly use it for your professional reach out, or are you addicted to it personally as well? Honest.
Depends on where I am. If I'm up at work, sometimes I have the tendency just to swipe, scrolling on your phone pointlessly, but I like to use it to spread the message if I've got a message at the time, but usually it's just day-to-day, you know, what I'm up to. I think that's the whole point. You don't want to take it too seriously. It's just sharing your story, and if people are interested in that, then so be it, and that's great. And the things that you're passionate about. So I'm passionate about this event, so I'll be sharing this event.
Lovely. Yeah.
You know, it's the things that you're doing in your life and things that you're passionate about. I think that's what you should be using it for.
I'm just thinking about something. You say the checklist from the girls on the boys. Is there no checklist from the boys on the girls? Do the boys don't have a checklist?
Oh, definitely. So,
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm speaking from my
Yes.
perspective, but
Yes.
yeah, the guys probably have a checklist as well. You know, they must meet a certain standard these days, as opposed to, you know, it's a lot more sharing, a lot more things you see
Yes.
before you don't actually meet up with someone. So, yeah, it comes from both parties.
Equally. Yes.
Equally, yes, equally.
What's your most favorite American reality TV show?
Ooh. I used to like Jersey Shore.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Geordie Shore.
Ellen DeGeneres?
Nah, that's not reality, is it? This is a talk
Well,
show.
it's a talk show.
Yeah, I think that's funny, that comparison, really.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to
Yeah,
ask straight
no,
away.
No, I think that's funny. It was a joke that Nick from last season shared.
Yes.
And we kind of, you know, it's just because I bleached my hair at the time. And he was like, "Oh, you look like Ellen."
You know,
And
darling,
I'm like,
if you do look alike, you might as well do look alike. This
I
has
was
a
hoping
huge
to go on the
following and
show.
is very famous.
I was
Yes?
supposed to go on I was trying to tee up an interview. To
Yes.
go on the show, but
We're going to do a hashtag here.
hashtag go on Ellen show.
Okay, and get her attention. If you had a magic wand, I gave you now a magic wand,
Yeah.
what would you wish for the world?
For the world, I'd wish for, you know, everyone to be integrated in this society probably a little bit better. There was some, even working up north, there's been some divisions in different cultures and stuff like that. So, yeah, diversity is a good thing, and especially in Australia, we need to accept it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here
Thank
on
you,
Hello
darling.
Darling show. Wish you all the wishes to come true.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that you've enjoyed today's program, and we look forward to your company next time. If you have a story you would like to share, visit us at hellodarling.com.au. Remember to spread the word. Together, we can change the world. Bye-bye, darlings, and see you next time.